Hey guys, welcome to part 3 of building this AMT kit, the 352 Pacemaker Cabover. That's the one we're building right there. So we're building that kit. So far, if you've watched parts 1 and 2, you've seen we've built the engine pretty much to where the point where we are. We still have some stuff to do to it, but you can't do any of the other stuff to it till it gets on the frame where it's going to sit like this. It'll sit there. Okay, so we have the engine built. Welcome to Junkyards and Barn Finds, and this is Model Monday. All right, day 3 of the build. We're still not done the engine, but we're done as far as what we can do with it until we put it in the frame. And we're just test fitting the back wheels just to make sure that we have the proper clearance, because a lot of the stuff, we have these air brakes that still have to go on, we have the brakes that have to go on, but we now have the back axles spaced and glued, and we have the airbags for the airbag ride in there, shocks, we have pitman arm, steering box, and front suspension with hubs. So these models take a while. You have to take your time. The reason I had to test fit, just putting the wheels there, is to make sure that there is the proper amount of room and the ride height is going to be correct. So that's why we also, I use this here. So if you look, yeah, Daisy's awake. It's like 8 a.m. So if we look here, you can see everything lines up really well. Using the grid, that all the axles are at 90. So they're all approximately the same. If you look at the chart, they're the same length apart. So they're 90. You can see the frame is very straight. It's flat now. So we're just going to keep on building away. We only have about 200 more parts to put together. Attaching these air brakes and the backing plates, once you've figured out that these are, you're going to have to put these backing plates, which is basically the brakes with the air brakes with the backing plates, and the backing plates will fit on here with the metal axles going through. And so you really need to make sure that these are parallel to the ground when you're putting them on, because everything about this is about alignment of the wheels. So when you put them on, just make sure you put them the right way. Follow the directions right here. Put them together. I glued mine together first with the air brake with the backing plate, and then I'm going to be putting the brake plate on there. And if you have to clip this the little stem that comes off there, if you have to clip that, clip it, because it's better that these be correct than, I know this little thing's supposed to go through the hole in that backing plate, but it may not fit, so you might have to clip it a little bit. We've now got a lot of the chassis built, at least enough to put the tires on. So we had the front. Now we sanded right there, sanded right here, and then we put the metal axles on. Like I said, we had to cut the metal axles. So now next is putting the tires together. All right, so front tires are right here. And you're gonna know they're the front rims because they look a little different. If you look at these right here, they're smooth on the inside. The two front ones, make sure you have them, have bolts on the front there. So they have the lug nuts sticking out. And then of course, I'm just gluing in the center cap there and gluing, same with this front one here, gluing the center cap in. Make sure that this is sanded, so sanded the red paint off so we can glue, because I don't have my wheels turned, I just like to have them glued. And then one other thing is, I love the fact that these tires came in a bag and they're all separate, so you don't have to cut the tabs off here. But, and you can see my finger right now cut, using a straight razor to cut and some sandpaper to cut the little tabs, because all these beauty rings, and the beauty rings will go on the front. They go on the front there. Now, you can use, I use Tester's glue for most everything. You can use Tester's glue for this, or you can use your favorite glue, but what I'm going to use for my wheels is my Mod Podge, which I get. This Mod Podge is what I use on glass surfaces, but I'm also going to use it on the wheels because it actually is completely transparent and clear when it dries. So if you get a little bit extra on the wheel when you're doing this, or on the tire, then it doesn't really show. It's basically a white paint, or I'm sorry, a white glue. I get mine, I have a couple of them, you've seen them before. Those things I've had for, man, 1-2 years in all the models we build here. But so this is going to go like this. Then the beauty ring, which I actually painted red for the front, because I just kind of want them red. They just lay right here on the inside rim. But I just find that model glue, because these are actually like rubber or vinyl tires. I'm not sure if they're rubber or vinyl, but with these tires right here, the Mod Podge will glue and it will fill in the seams so that this tire doesn't come off. So kind of like that. And as I said, you're gonna have to cut these the metal axles that go through the plastic axle there. And then of course, if you look in the back, you can see the backing plates are silver, and they fill the hub here. And each of these hubs will have 2 tires, 2 tires, 2 tires, 2 tires, and then there's 2 up here, so a total of 10. Take your time with the tires, guys. This has a great set of tires. AMT, I like their tires, but just take your time with them, and you'll do fine. So like I said, I like using the clear water-based paint or glue that goes in there, and so you can use whatever you want. I just kind of like that. Also, we did use our panel line accent, and we used it on, so far we've used it on the grills there. I don't know if you can actually tell. Used it on the silver plate here, and then I used a Sharpie for that hose there, and I have a couple Sharpies here, black and silver, and a bronze. And like we did the cap here and the metal straps that hold the fuel tanks on, we did those with the silver Sharpie, and then did some of the other stuff, the silver on the fan belts, the silver on the fan, all that stuff is done with a Sharpie. All right, well, we'll come back when we have all the tires ready. So to put these rings on the tires, there's the ring. So I basically just can put the tires on here. These magic fingers that you see we have here, I've got one there, right there. You can buy them at the hobby shop, but actually Northern Tool has them for $3.99. They're $10 at Hobby Lobby, but they're $3.99 over at Northern Tool. So that's where I get mine. I mean, I've gotten some at Hobby Lobby, but And if you're going to build models, even if you're not, you're just going to build one model, this makes life so much easier for painting, for holding pieces. You've seen them on all the guys that build models. So $3.99. I don't get anything from. I actually should go and get a link and put it on there, but I don't. But anyway, $3.99 for, it's called, I think it's called Magic Fingers, and they're really, really helpful. So this is probably one of the other more important. One with getting the frame straight, which we did. The second thing is we have all 10 tires on there now, and they're all even. They're touching. I have this holding the front end up here. Now, the hardest thing, once you have the tires on, and they look like they're supposed to be where they are, they're all even, the same distance, all 10 are on the pad, so they're flat, is to not touch this for about 12 hours. If you try to touch it, if you try to correct something that that's already been messed up because you didn't have your frame squared off, or you didn't give time for the axles to dry or the front end to dry, which is why it takes a long time to build these, in my opinion. But we've been building this now for 3.5 days, and now, so we used the Mod Podge to put the rubber on the rims, and then we used the glue, the Testors 2 glue that I always use, to put these the rims onto the hubs. So now it's just a matter of sitting here and letting all this stuff dry for the next 12 hours, because if you touch it, it will mess it all up. So we haven't put the beauty rings on the front yet, and that's fine, we can put those on, but I wanted to lay it down with all 10 tires flat, so that way it sits flat. Because if you try to do this in the air, or you try to do it without the tires being on the ground, I can guarantee you one of these tires will not be on the ground, or one of these sets will not touch the ground, and it will look, everything will be off. So we have the truck. Now I'm just gonna let it sit. That's all we have to do, is let it sit for the next 24 hours. So I will see you tomorrow. Good morning, it's the next morning. And let me turn this light on here. It's about 5 o'clock in the morning. And wheels are solid. Back ones will roll, actually. But we're taking our 2 painted beauty rings, putting one on using Mod Podge. I just put some Mod Podge around with a paintbrush, and we put this one on, and then we'll let that dry, and all the paint will dry in about an hour. We'll put the other one on, and then we'll move on from there. Should they subscribe to this channel even if they don't like cars today for this one?
Probably just for this one.